Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diriye Nashtiprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the four Kumaras, text number 8 onwards. Kim tasya durlabtaram ihi loke paratra cha yasya vipra prasidanti shivo vishnushcha sanugaha. Any person upon whom the Brahmins and Vaishnavas are pleased can achieve anything which is very rare to obtain in this world as well as after death. Not only that, but one also receives the favor of the auspicious Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, who accompany the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. So this is the context of four Kumaras have come to the palace of Maharaj Prithu, palace or the Yagyashala, and Maharaj Prithu has received them. And now he is glorifying, receiving the Brahmins and Vaishnavas and receiving the devotees like four Kumaras. So the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas are the bearers of Lord Vishnu, the all-auspicious, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita. The devotees, out of the extreme love for Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always carry the Lord within their hearts. The Lord is already in the heart of everyone, but Vaishnavas and Brahmins actually perceive and see him always in ecstasy. Therefore, Brahmins and Vaishnavas are carriers of Vishnu. Wherever they go, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, or the devotees of Lord Vishnu are all carried. The four Kumaras are Brahmins and they visited the place of Maharaj Prithu. Naturally, Lord Vishnu and his devotees were also present. Under the circumstances, the conclusion is that the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas are pleased with the person. The Lord Vishnu is also pleased. This is confirmed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas on the spiritual master, Yasya Prasada and Bhagavad Prasado. By pleasing the spiritual master, who is both Brahman and a Vaishnava, one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased, then one has nothing more to achieve, either in this world or after death. So that is the perfection of life, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the best way, easiest way to please his devotees. So serving, receiving Brahmins and Vaishnavas properly, talking nicely to them, worshipping them, that really pleases the Supreme Lord. And that's what Prithu Maharaj is showing by his example. Nav lakshate loko lokan paryatato apiyan yatha sarvadrisham sarva atmanam yasya hetvaha. Prithu Maharaj continued, although you are traveling in all planetary systems, people cannot know you just as they cannot know the Super Soul, although he is within everyone's heart as a witness of everything. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the Super Soul. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Muyanti Yat Suryaha. Great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, and Chandra are sometimes bewildered trying to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It so happened that when Krishna was present on this planet, Lord Brahma and King Indra also mistook him. And what to speak of great yogis or jnanis who conclude that the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is impersonal. In the same way, great personalities and Vaishnavas like the four Kumaras are also invisible to ordinary persons, although they are traveling all over the universe in different planetary systems. When Sanatana Goswami went to see Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could not be recognized by Chandrasekhar Acharya. The conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart, And his pure devotees, the Vaishnavas, are also traveling all over the world. But those who are under the modes of material nature cannot understand the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of this cosmic manifestation, or the Vaishnavas. It is said, therefore, that one cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead or a Vaishnava with these material eyes. One has to purify his senses and engage in the service of the Lord. Then gradually one can realize who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who's a Vaishnava. So Prithu Maharaj is saying, you are traveling all over the universe, in all the planetary systems, but still people cannot see you. Just like Lord Krishna, he is in the heart of everybody, a super soul, but still people cannot see him, cannot understand him. And Prabhupada explains, just like Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if he's present right in front of us, if our eyes are not cleansed, if our senses are not purified, we cannot see him. We cannot understand him. Just like Krishna was present him personally in front of Kauravas and Pandavas, but only few Pandavas, Mother Kunti, Draupadi, Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, Vidur, only few people could recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Duryodhana tried to capture him, tried to imprison him. So we have to purify our senses. And same thing about Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Mahabhagavat, he traveled all over the planet so many times. And even before he started ISKCON, he was a Mahabhagavat from the beginning, but people in India didn't even recognize him. And only when he went to the West and Krishna's arrangement, he got the success there in establishing. And when he came back to India, people understood his power. But still, not everybody did. And that is why Prabhupada said, I'm alone, Indian, trying to preach. Only if I get 100 fully surrendered devotees, we can conquer all over the world in 18 days. He said the war of Mahabharata lasted for only 18 days. And we can also conquer only if I find 100 fully surrendered Indians. That's a very powerful statement. Only in 18 days, he said, we can conquer all over the world. Means we can preach all over. Conquering doesn't mean conquering like Napoleon or Alexander or whatever. No, preaching. Transforming the hearts of people all over the world. So how many people recognize the position of Srila Prabhupada? Not many. Unfortunately, not many. And Prabhupada gives the example of Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami, when he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Banaras, so before that, Sanatana Goswami in Ramkeli, he was in the prison. Nawab Hussain Shah had put him in the prison because he wanted to resign from his position. And from the prison, he somehow bribed the jailer and ran away. And then he took the village road. He didn't go to the main road because he was afraid the soldiers must be looking for him. And then he walked from Ramkeli, which is near Navdvip, all the way to Banaras. And while walking, he was hardly having anything to eat or not enough place to sleep. So when he reached Banaras and he found out Mahaprabhu was staying at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, so he went to see Mahaprabhu. And he had a long beard by then, and his clothes were all torn up, long hair. And he was so shy to even knock at the door, so he just sat outside the wall. And Mahaprabhu knew Sanatana Goswami had come, and he asked Chandrasekhar Acharya to go outside and see if any sadhu has come, a Vaishnava has come. And Chandrasekhar Acharya came out and he saw this Sanatana Goswami who looked like an old raggedy man, like a Muslim. He thought it's a Muslim guy. And he went, no, nobody's here. Mahaprabhu said, is anybody there? Yes, some Darvish. He called him a Darvish. Darvish means Muslim beggar or Sufi kind of guy. A Darvish is there. Mahaprabhu said he's not a Darvish. He's a Vaishnava of high order. Bring him in. So even Chandrasekhar Acharya could not recognize Sanatana Goswami. So for that, only thing. So we, of course, we don't see the Vaishnavas through our eyes. We see them through our ears, actually. How they speak, what they speak. And because they only speak about the glorification of the Lord. And then that's how we can recognize a Vaishnava. But one has to purify his senses. Then and then only we can recognize and take proper guidance. Adhana apite dhanya sadvo grihi medina yad griha hi arhai varyambu trina bhumi shvaravaraha. A person who's not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place and paraphernalia for reception are glorified. And the home itself is also glorified. Materially, if a man is not very rich, he is not glorious. And spiritually, if a man is too attached to family life, he is also not glorious. But saintly persons are quite ready to visit the house of a poor man or a man who is attached to material family life. When this happens, the owner of the house and his servants are glorified because they offer water for washing the feet of a saintly person, sitting places and other things to receive him. The conclusion is that if a saintly person goes to the house of even an unimportant man, such a person becomes glorious by his blessings. It is therefore the Vedic system that a householder invite a saintly person in his home to receive his blessings. This system is still current in India, and therefore saintly persons, wherever they go, are hosted by the householders, who in turn get an opportunity to receive transcendental knowledge. It is the duty of a sannyasi, therefore, to travel everywhere just to favor the householders, who are generally ignorant of the values of spiritual life. So householders, they are pretty much busy in making money, taking care of the families, taking care of other household businesses, job or business, whatever they have, taking care of the relatives, and so many responsibilities they have. So generally they become negligent of their spiritual duties. So the saintly persons or sadhus, they travel all over and go to the house of these householders to bless them, to give them the transcendental knowledge, give them the message, ask them to, or induce them to engage in the service of Krishna. This is a job of a sadhu. Actually, the meaning of the word sadhu means one who cuts. One who cuts our attachment to the material world. One who cuts these ropes of attachment by his words. His words act like an axe, and that is who a sadhu is. Sadhu is not one who who just goes to the householders' place to glorify them, or just to tell them nice things about whatever work they're doing, and it's nice if they continue on with their material life and just get some money and good food and get out. That's it. That's not a sadhu actually. Now it depends how he cuts the bondage, the ropes of bondage, how he cuts. Sometimes he can cut with harsh words, like when Vidura went to Hastinapur after the war was over, and Dhritarashtra and Gandhari was still staying at Pandava's palace. He was very harsh, very, very harsh. We read that in the first canto. He basically told him, "You're like a dog living in the house of your nephews, but they're the ones who killed all your sons. Bhima is the one who killed all your sons, and you're living in their house just like a dog, accepting some remnants of food. Get out of here." But sometimes the sadhus can speak nice, palatable words, but the point is still the same, to cut this bondage, these bonds of affection to the material world, to the material life. That's real blessings. Once Srila Prabhupada was traveling in India in a train with his disciples, American disciples, and there were some Marwadis in the train traveling. So they saw Prabhupada, and generally what we do in India, whenever we see a sadhu, "Baba, give me some blessings so my business grows nicely." That's all we ask for. So these Marwadis, they saw Prabhupada and they went to Prabhupada. And they said, "Swamiji, give us some blessings." And Prabhupada said, "My blessing is that you become like," he pointed at his disciples with the shaved heads. He said, "You become like them, like shaved heads, devotees with the shaved heads." Those Marwadi businessmen, they just went away. They didn't come back again. But that's the business of a sadhu, actually. And this is why they go to people's homes. Otherwise, they have no business of going to homes of householders. It's not for their maintenance. They should go to anybody's house. A sannyasi should have full confidence, full faith in Krishna's mercy, or Krishna's taking care of him. And if a person living in the house, he has developed that faith, he is as good as a sannyasi actually. It's not by changing the color of our dress we become sannyasi. It's by transforming the heart, transforming the consciousness of our heart, and taking full shelter of Krishna. That's what makes one sannyasi. So this is the duty, real duty of a sadhu, to give his blessings. These blessings are basically to guide them how to make advancement in spiritual life. It may be argued that all householders are not very rich and that one cannot receive great saintly persons or preachers because they're always accompanied by their disciples. If a householder is to receive a saintly person, he has to receive his entourage also. It is said in the Shastras that Durvasa Muni was always accompanied by 60,000 disciples, and that if there was a little discrepancy in the reception, he would be very angry and would sometimes curse the host. So 60,000 disciples, just imagine. We can't even fit them in a whole temple, 60,000 people. And I hope they walk bare feet, because 60,000 shoes or chappals, sandals, we cannot even place them outside the door. So the point is, Durvasa Muni, and this is actually what happened in Mahabharata. When the Pandavas had been exiled to forest, Durvasa Muni came to Hastinapur. And Duryodhan, because he was a king, he had all the facilities. He welcomed him very nicely. He served him very nicely. All the disciples were looked after very nicely. And in the end, when Durvasa Muni was leaving, he was very pleased with Duryodhan. And he asked, what benediction you want? I want to give you some benediction. And Duryodhan, being crooked as he was in his heart, he said, "Oh, I don't want any benedictions. I just want you to give your mercy to Yudhishthira Maharaj also. They are living in the forest. But if you can go and give them your blessings, your mercy, that will just satisfy me." Because he knew Yudhishthira won't be able to take care of Durvasa Muni and his 60,000 disciples, and definitely he will get cursed. So Durvasa Muni goes to the place where Yudhishthira Maharaj was staying with his brothers and Draupadi. And Duryodhan asked him, as Durvasa Muni, to go in the evening, so that he was like, so that they can serve you better. Because in the morning they might be out in the forest, but in the evening they are there. The real problem was that he knew that Draupadi had been given this Akshay Patra by sun god. And the Akshay Patra, that was a small pot, and Akshay means unlimited amount of foodstuffs it can give. But the only condition was till Draupadi has eaten. After she has eaten, then for that day, Akshay Patra won't give anything. So by the evening, if Durvasa Muni goes, definitely Draupadi would have eaten. So this was the trick. So Durvasa Muni went, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is a Kshatriya, is a king. So he asked Durvasa Muni, please go take bath and please have prasada. So Durvasa Muni with 60,000 disciples, he went to take bath in the river. And now there was a great emergency situation because Draupadi had already eaten and there was nothing in the Akshay Patra. It wouldn't give anything for that day. So devotees, this is what Krishna shows by his devotees' behavior. They just take shelter of Krishna. They just pray to Krishna. Draupadi prayed to Krishna, please protect us. Because Durvasa Muni comes and there is nothing for him to eat, he will get angry and he is going to curse us, he is going to curse Yudhishthira Maharaj, and then we don't know what is going to happen. So they prayed to Krishna. Krishna immediately appeared. And we know the story. Krishna asked Draupadi, is there something for me to eat? Draupadi said, nothing. Akshay Patra is empty because I have eaten and there's nothing. Krishna said, there must be something. Something stuck in the inside of Akshay Patra. So some places they say he found a leaf, or some places it says they found one grain of rice stuck. And Krishna said, that is good enough. And Krishna ate that. Now, Yasmin Tushte Jagat Tushta. If Krishna is satisfied, the whole universe can be satisfied. So as soon as Krishna ate that, Durvasa Muni and all his 60,000 disciples, their stomachs were full up to the neck. Immediately they felt that they are full. And then Krishna being Krishna, he says, Bhim, why don't you go and call Durvasa Muni and his disciples and ask them to come and have prasadam here? We are waiting for them. It's getting late. Bhima was, Krishna, where is prasadam? Krishna said, just go and take your gada with you also. He specifically told him, take his gada. And now Bhima is walking with his gada and he is calling from Durvasa Muni, please come. And Durvasa Muni and his disciples saw Bhima coming with the gada and they are thinking, we are already full. We cannot eat anything. Not a single morsel of food can we put in our mouth now? Now what to do? So they all ran away from there. Literally, they ran away because they were afraid of Bhima with his gada. He's coming. And this is how, actually, this is how Krishna protects his devotees, but this is how one should welcome a guest. In fact, in the scripture it is said, even if the enemy comes to the house, one should welcome him in such a way that he forgets his enmity. So Prabhupada says, the fact is that every householder, regardless of his position or economic condition, can at least receive saintly guests with great devotion and offer them drinking water. For drinking water is available always. In India, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water if he suddenly visits and one cannot offer him foodstuff. If there is no water, then one can offer a sitting place, even if it is on the straw mats. And if one has no straw mat, he can immediately cleanse the ground and ask the guest to sit there. Supposing that a householder cannot even do that for some reason, then with folded hands, he can simply receive the guest saying, welcome. And if he cannot even do that, then he should feel very sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisances with his whole family, wife, and children. In this way, he can satisfy any guest, even if the guest is a saintly person or a king. So the guest should always be welcomed, always. There are different gradations. So if nothing we can do, if we cannot invite them inside, at least nice words can be said. And in the shloka it is said, not just the householder or the host, even the servants in his house who are engaged in service to the guest, they all get benefited by this service attitude. So very important instructions for how to receive guests. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any question or comments? Okay, so I guess we can stop. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.